Hi, my name is Brian Wassam. I'm a partner here at Warner, and I also chair the firm's Emerging Media and Technologies Industry Group. And this is the first in a series of vlogs that we'd like to share with you to talk about some of the most important issues that we and our clients are seeing. Now, today's topic is the Metaverse. It's a word that's all over media, being talked about every day, but what is it? What are the legal issues involving the Metaverse, and how can we at Warner help you? In terms of what the Metaverse is, frankly, it's a buzzword. The word itself is originally from science fiction that describes a dystopian world in which we're all living in a virtual world online rather than in the physical world. Facebook in particular has popularized it recently, even changing its name to Meta along the way to indicate that this is a technology that they'd like to now start selling you and that they are investing their time and money into. And that's fine, but that's as far as that word goes. What the technology that word actually represents has been around for decades and has been invested in by a number of companies across the space. And the technologies that we're talking about haven't changed. Those technologies are augmented reality, virtual reality, now called XR, that just kind of encompasses all of those technologies together, as well as supporting technologies such as the Internet of Things, Web3, 5G, all the infrastructure that goes into making those technologies work. So what do we mean when we talk about XR technologies? Well, from Meta or Facebook's perspective, they're thinking mostly about virtual reality when they speak of the Metaverse. So Meta wants you to put on one of these and experience a completely virtual artificial world through their virtual reality goggles. Apple and a number of other technology companies have in mind more augmented reality when they speak of the types of technologies that we think of as the Metaverse. Augmented reality you can think of as see-through virtual reality. It's digital information superimposed on what we see on the physical world. Google took their first stab at that with Google Glass. You can see why these aren't around anymore. All sorts of other versions of these see-through digital eyewear or smart glasses that are on the marketplace and are about to explode on the marketplace as well. So what are the legal issues that we think of when we think of the Metaverse or augmented and virtual reality? Well, the basic legal issues don't change from the internet that we have today. If you think of AR and VR, meta worlds as the three-dimensional internet, it's pretty much how they operate. You've got an idea of what the experience is going to be like and what the law looks at it as. But the details change a little bit. For example, I tend to think of intellectual property issues first. So copyright law governs creative expression. When we're walking around in a virtual or even an augmented world, the three-dimensional objects that we're interacting with, they're not physical. They're expressive works that someone created. Someone owns copyright in those images, and copyright law tells us what we can and can't do with those images. Trademark law governs customer confusion, and this comes into play especially in an augmented world when someone puts digital content, perhaps without your permission, on your physical building. Well, who owns that content? Who has the right to control that content and where it is put? And is that content confusing to your customers? Those are the sorts of issues we're watching. Patents, obviously a factor anytime you're talking about technology like this. But the user experience will also involve e-commerce. Companies put investments into technology like this because they want customers to follow. So if you follow the money, you follow all the investment that's being put into this technology, you're going to see a lot more customer and e-commerce interaction. The details of how e-commerce happen will obviously be slightly different in a virtual world. So we're going to want to watch how we govern those commercial interactions. At the same time, privacy changes a bit because not only do we have the same digital privacy issues that we have now, but we have new ones. When the technology that we're using, sometimes the technology that we use to make the transaction tracks different information. When it's tracking our biometric information, even what we're looking at with our eyes in order to make the transaction, there's a lot more data to be kept private. So how can we help you navigate the metaverse? A lot of law firms are jumping on the AR, VR bandwagon nowadays. But we at Warner helped build that wagon. We have relationships going back more than a decade in this space before anybody was paying attention to the industry, with both manufacturing companies and content creation companies, helping them navigate their legal issues so that they could help build this industry. For example, even back when these were all the rage, we helped draft some of the first terms of use that dealt with physical injury. What happens when users are walking around looking at digital content in a very physical world and run into something physical and hurt themselves? In 2015, 7 years ago, I authored the first treatise on augmented reality law before anyone else was paying attention to this industry from a legal perspective. And since then, my Warner colleagues and I have continued to contribute to legal scholarship and other pieces of speaking and writing content as the thinking in this area matures. In 2017, we at Warner successfully conducted the first piece of litigation dealing with the intersection between augmented reality and the First Amendment. How far can governments go in regulating speech in the augmented and location-based industry? We held a government municipality accountable and got a regulation struck down under the First Amendment for going too far. We've written terms of use, privacy policies in virtual and augmented spaces. We've enforced intellectual property rights in virtual worlds, getting unauthorized content removed. We've written patents having to do with this technology. We know this space, and we can help you navigate it.